we always get a lot of credit as it relates to regular saying our accomplishments, but I would say over my entire 10-year history, we've asked our board to have some courage and to trust us and to support us. And I would say without fail, they've done that. And much of what we've been able to do over the course of this pandemic, going into it, navigating through it, and then now as we have a chance to really focus on coming out of it. Without their support, we would not have been able to do what we do. And then I'd like to acknowledge, and I'm the biggest fan of the public-private partnership that we have. We could not do what we do if it weren't for our federal government. And certainly, Secretary Murtaugh, Director Isabel Hill, U.S. Department of Commerce, they are our touch point with the 9 federal agencies that we have a relationship with that touch travel and tourism and what we do every day. And without their leadership, without what they do every day, their fingerprints are all over a lot of what's happened here recently, and I just want to publicly thank them for everything they do. And then we're going to left. I want to thank our team, the leadership here on the front row, many of them that are like school kids in the back row. Without them, I have the privilege of calling these ladies and gentlemen my colleagues, and I am so proud of how they've gotten into this pandemic, what we've done throughout it, and now we have a chance to look beyond it. It's great. Lastly, thanks to each and every one of you. You're going to hear a lot of what I'm talking about this morning is about being our nation storyteller. We get paid to tell the stories, but you all are such an integral part, as Roger said, of helping us tell our story. And so for that, we appreciate that. We never take it for granted. And we want to do everything we can do to help you tell our story. So here we go. Let's do a little bit of that. I'm thrilled to see us reuniting and coming together again as an industry family. It's truly a family. I tell my wife all the time, who's a lawyer, she doesn't understand what I do for a business. My kids thought I was a high-paid travel agent. And I said, yeah, I am that, but we do so much more. You know, this global pandemic has resulted in a lot of loss and hardship for very many. Needless to say, our travel and tourism industry was impacted disproportionately in this country and around the world, like nothing we've ever seen in our existence. All of this makes the role that Brand USA has had, as we've evolved it now over 11 years, going into our 12th year, really as important as ever. We have a great opportunity, and we understand that's a responsibility, and we take it very seriously that, you know, we're not the only ones impacting international travel, but the value proposition that we've had over these years has contributed to incremental visitation and spending. So we really appreciate that opportunity. We take it very seriously. We know the road to the next normal. A colleague of mine helped me realize that phrase. New normal was worn out pretty much in the first month. Next normal is still being defined. Even with the news that we got yesterday, we're not going to be to the final end of normal until a lot more time going to occur. But times of crisis create opportunities for evolutionary growth. I can tell you, we as an organization, we as an industry, and all of us as professionals in it have evolved, have had to evolve, and had to grow over the course of this pandemic. And certainly, that's been a great thing. And I have to say, the spirit that we felt when we first got here, and I guess the spirit for new journeys, now that we have a chance to recreate those, is really exciting. But before I plan our plans for reentry and recovery, I want to take a moment to update you on where we are today, where we've been, and then what's ahead in the months moving forward. As I said, the economic fallout from the pandemic has been felt most acutely by our travel and tourism industry. Again, in this country and around the world. It was like nothing we've ever seen, and so now we have a chance to build it back. Money in the numbers that you saw Roger talk about this morning, according to U.S. Travel, inbound international travel has historically been our nation's #2 overall export, but it's our #1 service export. People say, how is it an export? Well, the product is the experiences and memories people have and take home, and then the money they leave behind. So it's a major contributor to our economic engine, and it does it on a regular basis. In 2019, the last year that we had some semblance of what the old normal used to look like, travel exports were $233 billion. That's $250 billion. It delivered a $51 billion trade surplus, meaning more of you traveled here than we traveled outbound, and it directly supported 1.2 of the nearly 10 million jobs that are supported by our industry. But in 2020, even with a really strong first quarter, travel exports dropped by 76%. Arrivals dropped by 76%. Travel exports dropped by 64% to just $83 billion. And a year-over-year loss of $150 billion just in that 1 year. And then certainly the years since, until the news of yesterday, have been equally impactful and unfortunately equally and in many ways more negative. Simply put, travel fuels the U.S. economy. And we are well aware of that. Certainly you are too, as you've heard us talk about that. And we knew early on that the return to international travel was going to be one of the last things that came back. Roger talked about the meetings in the industry, and certainly that's taken a huge hit, and we still have a ways to go to be able to bring that back to where it was. The travel and the international portion is going to be the last to recover. I agree with Roger 100%. Smart people that are economists and forecasters suggest that it could be 4 years before we see 2019 numbers. I disagree entirely. I think it's going to be way more than that. So while it's true that air travel has been available to the USA from Canada and Mexico and hundreds of other companies, many are represented here in this room, many challenges still remain for international travel. International travel will truly return. The announcement yesterday was the biggest and most impactful announcement we needed. But imagine just what it's going to take for our federal government to be able to allow that to happen. And then for our industry to get back to a point where they're going to be able to provide the service and the hospitality that they're accustomed to providing. So thankfully, a lot of thought went into announcing that we're going to open. A lot of thought went into giving us enough opportunity to be able to get us back on our feet. And so we're looking forward to that November 1st date. After being separated for 18 months or more, the world is exhausted. And we know that travel can renew and rejuvenate us. It does in the best of times, but certainly in these times, there is so much hunger for travel and people are ready to go. In light of the administration's announcement yesterday, I'm happy to say that we're ready to welcome the world back to the United States. Over the past year and a half, Brand USA has been busy positioning the U.S. and our partners for a quick and robust return to international marketing. And we're so excited to be able to actually get to that point. We're excited to lead the next chapter of recovery. As Roger said, our country and the world has faced many crises in the past, and we're looking forward to doing that. And whether it's a domestic or the international industry, this industry has proven to be very resilient in the past, and this time is going to be no different. I think we're going to respond, and the industry will respond in ways that we can't imagine. To continue to influence key aspects of the travel and tourism ecosystem, we're ready to navigate our reentry and our recovery. In what we've been calling a state of readiness, meaning that there were so many things that had to happen before we could ever get back to what we are used to doing. We've been inspiring through content, travel trade engagement, public relations, and a groundbreaking virtual B2B platform, our Brand USA Global Marketplace.